What's up, y'all? Shoebooty Sports coming back at you Tuesday night, normal time or normal day. Well, time too. This is your host, Graham Powell, co-host Bradley Brown. Say what's up, Brad.
What's happening?
Nice hat, by the way. Quick shout out to our sponsor. Shoebooty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races, check out the shirt here, by the way, for those of you watching on Spotify and YouTube. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. How it works is you sign up for one or all 5 of the races at rhinoraces.com, run your race at your convenience, track your race with your favorite fitness app, screenshot your results, uh, send those results to rhinoraces.com under the submit results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out free shipping on all orders, by the way, but check out their gear section for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. Again, rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series, and you can find Shoebooty Sports on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, the Wisdom app. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at Shoebooty Sports. So it's NCAA tournament week. Gets underway. Does it start? It starts tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah, the first four start tonight, or have started. So,
Okay, right on.
which I'm not sure who won the first game, but
Yeah, I did my bracket yesterday, I think. One of
still
the
haven't
few
done
times.
mine.
Uh, well, I guess you have till whatever,
Yeah.
Thursday or yeah, Thursday or so, I believe is when the round of 64 starts. But either way, I have done mine. This is my final four. We'll just skip to the final four. For the men's side, yeah, I mean, we're not going to go through each one. I mean, it's only a 40-minute show. But I do kind of want to point out just my picks, kind of and just kind of go through each region. I've got Alabama coming out of the South. I've got them beating Arizona in the Elite Eight. I have a 1 through 4 in the Sweet 16. So Bama, Virginia, Baylor, Arizona, and you can look at your brackets and see the seeding there. We all know that's how it's not going to play out. It never does. It's never predictable. Hence the name March Madness, at least on the men's side. But I got Alabama coming out of the South. In the East, I have Marquette. Went with Marquette. That was the hardest kind of one for me to pick. That's the that's the region, of course. Purdue is the number 1 seed in. And for those of you that have listened to the show, know how I feel about Purdue. I've gone on record and I repeat it. Uh, believe this wholeheartedly. Purdue is the most overrated basketball program ever in college basketball. They are constantly a 1 seed, it feels like. They were throughout the 90s, never won anything in the 90s. I think they won one in 88, something like that in the 80s. But they have been a 1 seed seemingly throughout the 90s, and I don't think they ever got past the Sweet 16 during that time. Not saying they're not a good program. Of course they are. But to be a 1 seed just year, seemingly after year, and to not win it, I you know, I just can't get down with that. So I have Purdue. Well, I'll get to that in a bit. I'll come back to the East, but I got Marquette coming out of the East. West, I have Kansas. I have Kansas beating UCLA, another 1-2 matchup. And even in that one, I've got a 1 through 4 in the Sweet 16. That's just what I have. The Midwest, I have Texas coming out of the Midwest region. So it'll be, for me, I got Texas and Kansas playing each other in the Final Four, and Alabama and Marquette playing each other. In the Midwest, Houston's the 1 seed. Just something about Houston I'm not sold on, especially Memphis beating them by double digits in the conference championship game. And that's the
Yeah.
last we saw of them.
They always seem to make a pretty early exit every year, so
they do. Well, they get to the Elite Eight, or didn't they get to the Final Four last year or the year
no.
before? I think they did. I think they got to the Final Four last year. Give it a Google real quick. Or it was that or the year before. But you're right on a normally that Houston seems to always kind of make an early exit. But I have Texas coming out of the Midwest. They're obviously going to take a hit with Chris Beard leaving, but the recruits didn't go anywhere during the year. On Chris Beard finalizing or essentially getting close to a deal to become the Ole Miss head coach. So that's going to be a huge get for Ole Miss. We touched up on that last week, but yeah, huge get for Ole Miss. So they got to be excited for what's coming there in Oxford. Not good news for us and Razorback fans in the SEC, but that's fine. All right, so
Yeah, Elite Eight. They made it to Elite Eight
okay.
last year.
All right. But it's like you said, they seem to always kind of make an early exit, especially when they're ranked as high as they are, a 1 or 2 seed. They are seemingly a 1 or 2 seed a lot of times, like Purdue. But I've got I want to focus I'll focus a little more on the East here. Yeah, I have Marquette beating Duke in the Elite Eight there.
So you can say a lot of people are big on Duke, which I mean, yeah, they used to be quite a bit, but not so much in the previous years. But yeah, heard a lot of TV heads talking about them, so they're pretty big on them. So
Okay, so I'm sticking with my brand, the Grandpal brand, who just can't get behind Purdue. Just guess when I have Purdue getting bounced. Just take a shot at it.
by second round,
Ding
yeah,
ding as I take a hit of my
yeah,
Sprite there.
yeah,
Yeah. I have Memphis beating Purdue in the round of 32.
I can see that.
Yeah, considering what they did to Houston and just Purdue being squeaking out one against in their conference championship game against what 10 seed Penn State, whatever they are. Yeah, 10 seed Penn State. I just can't get behind that team, especially as a 1 seed. I'm going to go with Memphis in that.
How
I
far
have
you have
Duke.
Tennessee going?
Let's see. What bracket are they in?
Same. They're in the East.
Okay, yeah, I have them highlighted. All right, so I have Tennessee getting beat by Duke in the round of 32. But I highlighted 2 teams in this region. This is the most interesting region to me, the East. There are 2 teams here that I don't see going past the Elite Eight, or excuse me, the Sweet 16, but either one could end up in the Final Four. Like you could make a case for either one. It's 2 SEC teams. It's the 4 and 6 seeds. It's Tennessee and Kentucky. I think Kentucky has the best draw of a 6 seed. Now Providence is going to be a problem. They always are in the first game. But Kentucky can beat a Kansas State in the round of 32. They can beat a Marquette. They're going to be a problem for Marquette in the round of 16. And they can beat Duke. They can beat a Duke or a Memphis or Purdue or whoever comes out of that side of it, in the Elite Eight, which would be the East Final. I could see Kentucky getting to the Final Four. I don't think it'll happen because Cal teams always come up short, especially these days. And Kentucky's just not consistent enough. But could they get on a hot streak there and like win some close ones? Sure. Can Tennessee do the same? Absolutely. Tennessee can beat Purdue. Tennessee can beat Duke. Especially if their shots are falling. Those are the 2 teams you could make a case could come out of the East. Kentucky and Tennessee. That's the most interesting region to me. Going to the West, which is where Arkansas is, our Razorbacks. I'll touch
Yeah.
up on them in a bit. I got Kansas coming out of there. Another 1-2. Again, that's my 1 through 4 there. Yeah, I have Kansas beating UConn, then getting to the final and beating UCLA, who would have beaten Gonzaga in the game prior. So I got Kansas coming out of
Looks
the
like
West.
Arkansas should have played a little bit worse, just so they could be like 11 seed, but maybe a 10
Let's
seed. just get somewhere away from Kansas beating them in the second round if they beat Illinois. But
That's the thing. I picked Arkansas to beat Illinois, and I think having Nick Smith back is going to be the difference maker in that. But really, that's a pick 'em. To me, that's a
yeah,
pick 'em game. It's a 50-50 game.
yep.
I went with Arkansas for Nick Smith and just being a little biased there. Like, okay, just a wishful thinking almost. But I mean, they can win the game. You know, it's not the Big Ten's not a stellar conference this year by any means. So I could definitely see Arkansas winning that game. I do not see them beating Kansas. That could be a 20 that could be a 20-point blowout.
Could
Or they could
I
play them
mean,
within like 3 or 4 points. You never know what you're going to
yeah,
get with Arkansas.
I'm sure Arkansas will get up by 11, and then they'll lose by 20.
Yeah, I was going to say we might see them. We might see them come out, play really well in the first half, and then just completely different team in the second half, and then Kansas running away with it by 20. I could
Yep.
definitely see that happening. Love my Hogs, but they're not getting past Kansas in the round of 32. If they get to the
Nope.
if they get to the round of 32, I consider that a win. You know, getting a tournament win, three straight seasons with Muss at the helm. Of course, it's not the Elite Eight, but this team just, and we'll touch up on this in a bit, what Muss will need to do in the offseason, focus on, you know, in our opinion, obviously. But, well, it's really kind of obvious, though. I think anybody watching this team knows what they need to improve on. We'll touch up on that. But, all right, going to my final four, I have Kansas beating Texas on that side of the bracket, and I got Alabama beating Marquette. So I have Alabama, Kansas making it back to the title game, but I got the Crimson Tide winning it. I picked the score 75-71. I got Alabama winning it all. I think they're the most talented team in the country. I think they have been all year. I think they have the best player in Brandon Miller. I think they have the best team, the deepest team. They're well coached. It's if Alabama plays their best basketball, there's no one in this bracket. There's no one in this tournament that can beat them. Of course, that's a big if. You know,
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen in a single elimination tournament, especially especially when your best player is a freshman, right? But he's
Yeah.
money. I mean, Brandon Miller is money. If I'm an NBA team, I'm taking him number one overall, and I don't see anybody close that can challenge him for that. But I got Alabama winning it all, beating Texas, like I said, 75-71. Those are my picks. What say you? Are you looking at the bracket to at least see? Because I know you hadn't filled one out.
I have not filled one out, but yeah, man, I hate to admit it, but once I fill one out, it's probably gonna be Bama there at the end. I don't know. I might lean to Texas. I think they can wreck shop and maybe get there. But
Even without Beard.
yeah, play play much harder and just in spite of Beard. I think they can do it. But I don't know. Seen crazier things, but yeah, it's probably going to be Alabama. Then Kansas, I think they're just going to run through it. So it's probably a good pick for the national title, but or the national championship game. But I don't know, man.
So who's your pick? You got to make a pick who that not who you're probably going to pick. This is our show. You got to make your pick here. Who you got?
Hogs all the way. Miracle.
Okay, we just lost all credibility. Not that we really had any to begin with, but
No, I mean, uh, man, I don't know. I kind of like Kansas. I think I don't know,
to
man. I think
repeat,
yeah, yeah, to repeat. I think Alabama's gonna stumble in the Elite Eight.
I could see Alabama. I think will do one of two things. I think they'll win it all, or they'll like go down in like 16 or 8.
Yep.
I could see them going down in the Elite Eight. I could definitely see that happening.
I just have a feeling. So we all know I don't know my shooty hoops as well as others, so take that for what it is.
An expert and somebody that's just filling out the bracket. Okay, I know a gal who is makes her picks based on the mascots. That's
I
how she
know.
makes her
Yeah,
picks.
I know a girl who picks them based on the color combination of the teams. So,
Yeah.
and she
And
won her bracket one year.
yeah,
So
and that's the thing. That person and then a college basketball expert could have the same like type of bracket, at least scoring wise, by the end of it. Just because you never know.
nope.
But I feel like I said, if I had to put money on it, I got to pick Alabama. I don't see Kansas. Like I said, I see them getting back. I don't see them repeating, just because this isn't that Florida team from 2006, 2007, where everybody's back.
Yeah.
This isn't that team, and they're not as good as that team either. That was one of the last great teams. When I think of like the last great college basketball team, I think of like the Kentucky team with Anthony Davis on it. That's what I think of as like the last great college basketball team. And before that, it was that Florida team, that went back to back in 06 and 07. So I feel good about Alabama. If I wasn't picking Alabama, I don't even know who I would go with. Um,
Yeah, I just can't pick Alabama just because they're Alabama. So
I mean, it makes sense. There are other teams in here I could see making a run. Like I could see Creighton as a 6 seed making a run. I could see Arizona doing something. But to me, the Missouri even
I can see
uh,
Missouri making some noise.
Missouri, Baylor. Really though, it's the two that really stick out to me. It's Tennessee, Kentucky. Those two have the most potential to come out of the East just because of the side of because of the region that they're in. I could see Kentucky getting to the round of 8 or even the Final Four. Tennessee doing the same thing. That's not who I picked, but I could definitely see it happening.
So of course you picked some upsets. What upsets did you go after in the first round?
Man, I really didn't.
You
In the
didn't do all
first
chalk,
round,
did you? Yeah.
uh,
I know you had to pick at least 112 over a 5 seed
I don't think
just
I
to
did
live on the
actually.
edge.
I
Come
don't think I
on.
did actually. I was very in the first round. I was very like predictable. Um, and it was just and I'm not doing my research when I'm doing these tournament picks. I just pick. You're gonna
Yeah.
like confuse yourself if you go
Yep.
through and do that.
Yep.
Like you can outsmart yourself doing that. No, if I pick, I think the only upsets, they're not even upsets. It's like nines beating an 8. Like that's what I have West Virginia beating Maryland, like a 9 beating an 8 there.
Think so, yeah. Speaking of 9 beating an 8, you think Auburn's gonna get it done against Iowa and then get knocked out by Houston?
I did pick Auburn. I did pick Auburn to beat Iowa, and then getting beat by Houston.
How far do you have A&M? Well, I guess you got them getting put out by Texas.
Yes,
A&M, yeah.
I do have A&M in the round of 32.
Man, SEC got some tough draws this year, man. Freaking
See, that's the thing. I think Kentucky got the best draw. I think they got the best draw. I think they have the easiest path to the Final Four and then the best region. Tennessee would have to face Duke in the second round, and then you'd have to go beat Memphis or Purdue. So yeah, it's not going to be a gimme. As overrated as I think Purdue is, there's they should still be probably.
watch them win it all just because you're hating on them.
Man, they don't win it all.
No, they
That's
don't.
not what Purdue does. I'm not worried about that. But Tennessee could beat Purdue. Tennessee could beat Purdue. Memphis could beat Purdue. Kentucky could beat them. Marquette could beat them. Duke could beat them. Purdue is a very, very beatable 1 seed, and they always have been, at least in my lifetime. Except I guess the year they won it in '88. But yeah, I have Alabama winning it all, and not a tremendous amount of upsets. Memphis beating Purdue is the biggest one that I have. I have Kentucky getting to the round of 16. But even then, is that really an upset? To me, that's yeah. it's gonna get busted. It's just a matter of when,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, usually it's about in the first couple of hours for me, but after the first couple of games. So what do you think about North Carolina? Just pretty much saying, nope, we ain't playing in the NIT. Like,
It's just I don't necessarily blame them. It's like let's get out of the season. You go
just
from you're the
just
first
put the season
ever
out of its misery.
preseason number one to not make the tournament. I don't know that I'd want to show my face in the NIT either. I kind of get it. Kind of get it. A lot of people think Vanderbilt got snubbed, and to me, if you're on that bubble, like you're like Oklahoma State was like 18 and 15 or something. I don't know why there's so much like heat about them not getting in. Like say what you want about Arkansas, but they're still a 20-win team in the toughest league in college basketball. So there should be no shock that Arkansas got in. I don't know if they're an 8 seed. I would have probably had them as like an 11.
Yeah, I was thinking we are going to be at like 10 or something, but
Yeah, but I mean,
what do I know?
I think it is taken into consideration that Nick Smith is back. And let's face it, if Nick Smith and Brazil were healthy, if Nick
Oh
Smith
man,
had played all year and Brazil was like didn't get hurt,
we'd be a top 4 seed easily.
yeah, or might be a 4 seed. I mean, well, I think they'd probably be a 3 again. I mean that's the thing. Like they'd have a lot more than 20 wins. It'd probably be
Oh
like
yeah,
they still wouldn't be better than Alabama, but they'd still have that'd be like a 25-win team, 26 maybe. The close ones would be where it mattered. Like you would have beaten Vanderbilt, you would have beaten Mississippi State, you would have won games like that. That's just two off the top of my head. You would have won those games. But before we jump to the women's side, like, do we both have Arkansas going out at 32?
sadly yes.
Yeah, but even if those guys were healthy, Nick Smith was the only shooter you had on this team, and
If they
and he's
played the best complete game they have all season, I guess there's a chance. But who knows? Kansas could come out and forget how to dribble. I don't know. I mean,
that's what it would take. I don't see any shot of them. I give them a 4% chance of beating Kansas. But let's focus on Arkansas a little bit. What is Musk going to have to do in the offseason? To me, it's obvious. He's got to get shooters. One, he's got to get
yes.
shooters, not just athletes like this team, not just long athletes like he. It's a good team. It's a tournament team. It's not a championship team. These guys can't shoot. This is the worst shooting team Arkansas's had in the Musk era. He's got to get shooters one, and he's got to get guys that rebound.
Yeah.
As much as I like the Mitchell twins, they're not very big for bigs. They're good players. They're guys you want on your team. But to me, if you got those guys on like a championship team, they should be coming off the bench. They should be role players. You got to get guys like they got killed on the boards by Texas A&M in every game they played them this year, even the one that they won. They
Yeah.
got killed on the boards. Got killed on the boards against Mississippi State. You got to get guys that can you got to get some size inside, guys that can rebound, not just like a tall Connor Vanover, like who's at all Oral Robertson going to be playing in the tournament,
Yeah,
by
as
the
you say,
way.
he's in the tournament. So
Yeah. So good for him. But you got to get guys that can rebound, but you got to get some shooters, man. If you can't, how many games has Arkansas lost where they just they couldn't hit a field goal within the last 4 minutes of the game?
how many passed up threes have you seen Walsh take this season? Or Walsh not take this season?
A,
A couple of
a
hundred?
lot, a lot. And Muss has wanted him to
Uh,
like catch it and shoot all season. I mean, Devo Davis, to his credit, as many mistakes as he makes, he's become a better shooter. He's still not a great shooter by any means. I mean,
no.
he's a slasher type of player. He's a slasher and can play defense. Those are his strengths. when he's your biggest threat as a 3-point shooter out there, you're in trouble. And they said that one game that I want to say it was I can't remember, one of those games, Mississippi State, something like that, where they lost a close one, and they said, and Devo Davis is their best. He's their best 3-point shooter, biggest 3-point shooting threat on the floor. And I just thought, well, we're in trouble. And of course, they lost that game. If he's your if excuse me, if he's your biggest threat beyond the arc, you're in trouble. But yeah, that you got to get shooters and you got to get guys that can rebound. That's just what you got to do. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they can just win this one. They do that. To me, that's a success. 20 plus wins and a win in the tournament for this team. I think that's your ceiling. As
Man.
unfortunate I'd say that is.
Yeah.
To an extent. All right, jumping to the women's side.
Such a hyped up year too.
Yeah, it's what it is, But hey, not as bad as North Carolina, man.
True that.
How do you think they feel, right? We at least got to the tournament. We at least got 20 plus wins and got to the tournament. It's as bad as it is for us. It's not the offseason North Carolina's having or going to have. But okay, well, the offseason will be better. There's optimism, I'd say. The season, that was what was terrible. All right, women's side.
South Carolina. All right, we're done.
There you go. South Carolina. I've got all ones in the Final Four. South Carolina beating Stanford in that Final Four side, and Indiana beating Virginia Tech in the other. And so I've got South Carolina and Indiana playing in the championship game. Can you guess the margin? Not the score, but the margin. I have South Carolina winning. And how much would you pick South Carolina to win the championship game by?
14 points.
I have it 24 points. I have South Carolina winning 78-54. I kind of go back to, because South Carolina is just that dominant. I go back to earlier in the season when they played undefeated LSU, and everybody really hyped up the game. And I saw it, and I saw that, and I thought, I mean, South Carolina's going to win by 20 points. And they did. They won by like 21, 22 points. So there's nothing really on that side of the bracket that sticks out to, or that tournament that sticks out to me, makes me just really want to watch. There, except for one team. There is one team that could be interesting. I have Iowa losing to Stanford in the Elite Eight. Okay. But if you know anything about Iowa, they have what Dan Patrick calls the best shooter in college basketball, men and women, Caitlin Clark. She is a junior guard from West Des Moines, Iowa. Of course, plays for Iowa. She's a 6-foot junior. Let me just realize, if you've seen any highlights of her,
I have not.
The gal can absolute ball out. Of course, there's no Paige Beckers in the tournament for UConn. So what was maybe the best player in the country didn't even play this year, because she tore her ACL before the season started. But this gal, Caitlin Clark, can absolutely ball out. She's essentially a junior. She's averaged essentially 27 points a game since her freshman year. Okay. As a freshman, and she's averaged about 100 3-pointers made every season. Career percentage close to 37%, 38%, 37.9% this season from 3-point range. As far as just a 85% free throw shooter, overall field goal percentage, she's at like 46% for her career. Just under 47% this season. She can make it interesting. I mean, she could be the difference maker in like the Final 8 of that region. I don't think they're good enough to beat Stanford, even though they're a 2 seed facing a 1 seed. I don't think they're good enough to beat Stanford. Stanford's a traditional power, on the women's
Mm-hmm.
in women's college basketball. Iowa's good. They have some good players, but Caitlin Clark makes that team go. That's the only I would be interested to see that game, or really any game that she's in. She's that good of a player. She's that good of a shooter. She's that fun to watch. So she would be the one for me to really pay attention to that tournament. Just some of those games that can make things interesting. But as good as she is, even if they got past a Stanford, they're not getting past the South Carolina. South Carolina is just that good. All right, we will touch up on some. Let's jump to football now. All right, so what's the likelihood Aaron Rodgers is going to end up with the Jets? Trey
Uh,
Wingo's reported it's a done deal. Shefty and Ian Rappaport are pretty quiet about it just because they don't have sources close to Aaron Rodgers. But I did see the Jets have reached a deal with one of his favorite receivers, Rodgers, that is Lazard, Alan Lazard. Is that it?
yep.
And apparently Rodgers had a wish list that he gave to the Jets. This is, rumor, of course, but it's got the people you would think that he'd want on there. Uh, what Randall Cobb, which I if I'm the Jets, I mean, if it can get Rodgers over, sure, whatever,
Yeah.
I'd make it
Whatever.
happen. And Mercedes Lewis, the tight end, I would want Lazard on that squad, but Odell Beckham Jr. was another name on there.
I heard
That
he
could
looked
be an
really good
interest.
at his workouts in the last week or so.
If he's healthy, man, he's a difference maker. He would have been the MVP of the Super Bowl had he not gotten hurt.
Yep.
So that
Yeah,
would be intriguing.
I think the Jets also signed what's the other tight end's name from the Packers?
Oh, I don't know. That's not the big one to me though. Getting Lazard to me was a
Oh,
big
of
thing,
course.
but getting uh, Beckham, OBJ, and Aaron Rodgers in the New York media, man, that the spotlight would be on the Jets all season. That would be fun to watch. How could you not watch that, right?
No.
And if you're but if you're the Jets and you can't get Aaron Rodgers, then what? I mean, you
Uh,
made all these moves.
I heard somebody toss around Mac Jones today for some reason. I have no idea, but
I don't see how that would work. I would make a push for Lamar Jackson if I'm them. I don't know how you're going to make
oh
that work.
man,
He's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to cost a lot of money too,
yeah.
but you can get Lamar for 5 years, you know. But that's something to think about.
Because
Spotlight's
we,
going to be on the Jets if they can somehow pull. They're doing everything they can to get to Rodgers or to get Rodgers. They
so
made that clear.
how many seasons do you think Roger has left in him? Like two?
That might be all he wants to play. I mean, he can revitalize his career to an extent. Not that it's been bad. He had a bit of a down season this past one, but that's been it. They
Yeah.
were a 1 seed the season prior to that. I mean, the guy can still play, and he'll have a new chip on his shoulder, and I mean, he'll want to stick it. You know how he is. He'll want to stick it to Green Bay. He could have one of his best seasons if they. And the Jets are a good team. They have a good roster. So if they're able to land him, that's going to be very interesting to see in the AFC next season. Some other moves. The Giants traded for Darren Waller today, I guess, to go with their $160 million quarterback there that they have there in New York. Giants, that is. So the Giants have their guy, apparently.
Yeah, somebody said they tried that trade in Madden and even Madden wouldn't accept it. So
Other free agent news though. Let's see. The Colts are planning to release Matt Ryan. No surprise there. Is he done? Is I mean, does he retire or does he just go to a backup role? Is he going to be cool with that?
I don't think he'd be cool with that. Man, it sucks, but yeah. So
He's made a lot of money. If he wants to ride off into the sunset, he can do that. But
I don't know if I could see him at a backup role. Maybe.
yeah, I don't know if he'd go for that. He's been a starter for so long. He's made a lot of money.
Was he gonna teach him how to blow the biggest Super Bowl lead? I mean,
Uh, have some fumbles here and there, when he gets sacked. It can happen, but yeah, that's unfortunate. We'd see Matt Ryan so much differently had he won that Super Bowl.
Definitely.
He would be that might have like Hall of Fame elevated him or close to it. You look at his stats, he's up there as like passing yards. I'd have to look at touchdowns, but okay, another big signing, Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins. Miami's all in,
Ooh,
man.
dude. Yeah, that's gonna be a squad to watch next season.
Miami's all in. They re-signed their running backs, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., who they got from the 49ers via trade last year after they picked up Christian McCaffrey or traded for Christian McCaffrey. So they're bringing everybody back that they can and bringing in some help. If Tua can stay healthy, they're trying, man. They're doing everything they can. They're going all in to make this team a contender.
Didn't they sign Zach White as a backup?
Mike White.
Mike White, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know who Zach White is,
I'm sure
but
I know a Zach White somewhere. But
probably. But
yeah.
yes, they did sign Mike White, and that's probably good for Mike White. Mike White's like, if you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, I'm definitely not playing. I could very well play in Miami with because Tua can't stay healthy anywhere. He couldn't stay healthy at Alabama. So I think that's a very smart move on Mike White's part. Okay, well, the Panthers though, what are they going to do with the number one pick? Do they even know what they're going to do?
I hope to God they do.
I mean,
Trading all them dang picks away. They better
they're
know what they're doing with that first
they're
pick.
they're going to get a quarterback. But would you take Bryce Young or would you take CJ Stroud?
Stroud.
Yeah, see, I would too. I would take Stroud.
I don't even think it's that tough a decision. Like
I think it's definitely worth thinking about. I mean, Bryce Young
it
is a
is.
playmaker, but who can?
Stand them up side by side and tell me who you gonna pick.
Yeah, and I mean Stroud has, I mean, here's the thing though. Like Ohio State have the best receivers in the country. You can overthink this a little bit too. I think, right? Like, did Marvin
What
Harrison? How much did Marvin Harrison Jr. and those other receivers make him look good?
and Bama's got the average Joes at their receiver positions.
And that's a fair point. Also, like I said, you can overthink yourself to death on this. But I would take Stroud also. I've said that ever since the beginning of the college football season. This guy's the best. This guy's the best quarterback in the draft. I'm taking him number one.
Yeah,
Whoever's picking number one, I'll take Stroud.
he looked like an NFL quarterback playing college ball.
He did absolutely. But yeah, we'll end on this. They did add. The Panthers added Andy Dalton on a 2-year deal. You look at Dalton's numbers. I mean, I mean, I don't know that you can get a more solid guy to be a bridge quarterback than Andy Dalton right now. So it
Yep.
looks like they're trending in the right direction. You look at Andy Dalton's numbers, you'd say, I'll take that career. He's not a Hall of Famer, but I mean, I would take that career. And he had a good year last year, throwing
He'll
for
win you
almost
some games.
3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 9 picks. He did go 7-10 as a starter, so wouldn't say it was that great of a season. But as far as what he can control, pretty good year, excellent bridge quarterback. So we'll see what the Panthers do. But we're going to get out of here, so we'll see y'all next week. March Madness, y'all. Tune in
I be watching.
for the show.